The South African Police Service has come under fire for the alleged use of excessive force against criminals, particularly after the death of 9 suspects in KwaZulu-Natal. Minister Bheki Cele has stated that more than 150 suspects have been fatally shot during encounters with police as they refuse to surrender. However, the minister has also emphasized that the police's primary objective is to apprehend suspects and not to use lethal force. Well, to further unpack this discussion, we've roped in Professor Tshimangadzo Magadze from the Department of Criminology and Security Science at the UNISA University. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Look, what is your opinion of the recent spate of criminals clashing with police at gunpoint, resulting in the deaths of either those suspects or the police?
Afternoon to you and your viewers. Yes, this is a serious issue at the moment, but it's unfortunate that people who have or who hold different views in terms of what police are doing are the people who surely they don't have or they never had such experience where maybe some of their relatives were being brutalized or victimized by this group of criminals. So the most important thing that we need to first look at before we even engage or interrogate the issue of criminals being shot by police officers, we need to find out if whether the excessive force that community or people who have all different views, they are saying this force must be only have with the community or with criminals towards police officers, because you heard the minister indicating earlier on to say we have 109 officers who were killed by these criminals. So according to section 49 of Criminal Procedure Act, it gives that money to say if you want to arrest and then police, criminals, then they start shooting, then for your defense, you need to shoot back. So if you check main incidents like the one that we were talking about from KwaZulu-Natal, police, they even recovers 2 weapons there or 2 guns there in the crime scene, which tells you that police, they were responding to what the criminals have started. So it comes with a different views, but the challenge, the other issue is that communities themselves, sometimes they know what is happening in the communities, but they are reluctant or they have fears to share information with the police. So until it leads to this situation.
You know, Prof, in some countries, it's actually quite treasonous to return fire or attack any law enforcement authority. Now, what do you make of the recent criticism that police are, in fact, using deadly or excessive force against suspects or criminals? Can criminals just run amok exchanging gunfire with police with the knowledge that police will not retaliate in the same manner based on procedural provisions?
Yeah, you see, other countries, they have strange rules in terms of with the issue of gun violence. So here in South Africa, the law that we do have, it's not that strict in such a way that you can be able to arrest someone with a gun. If you check at the current status that we have in the country now, we have so many illegal guns across the country. So surely the judicial system, they are losing the fight against this control of guns in the country. So at the end of the day, you end up having this war between criminals and police officers. So as long as we are still relying on the very same statute that regulates gun laws in the country, I think it's about time we need to review that statute, so that at least we can be able to accommodate some of the activities and to avoid the issue of community or victims blaming police officers. Because at the end of the day, that's why I indicated earlier on to say is the response. It's when you respond to gun, then you respond by gun. So that's how it is. It's just a question of who won in that activities. So at the end of the day, because of the main power that the police have, so they end up defeating, because they were trained to do those activities. So those criminals, many of them, they are not properly trained. So that's why at the end of the day, they end up being succumbed. All of them, like KwaZulu-Natal, all of them 9 perish.
Yes, absolutely, Prof, because I wanted to ask, I mean, my next question was then going to be, what do you think needs to be done in terms of policy or legislation level that would then ensure not only the safety of police, but also shielding us as society from these criminals?
Yeah, you see, what needs to be done, it starts from the community itself before we even talk about policies. Our country says it's one of the best countries in terms of policies, but the question is the issue of how people react or respond to those policies. It needs to start from the community, because community, they need to be to engage themselves. We need to cover the gap between the police and the community. That fear that the community have to report or to come out and report those incidents or some of criminal activities, it needs to be to find a way to be deleted in such a way that we can able to have all those policies. Yes, we can talk about the issue of prosecutions. We have so many cases where police have been killed, and then at the end of the day, we don't have prosecution of those cases. They remain cold cases because of then there we start questioning the issue of investigations. But what I want to emphasize on is that when we do most of our researches, many gaps comes from the communities. The issue of fear of victimization is one of the serious issues. And you know, our country at the moment, we have the issue of that we were discussing about the issue of lack of protection of whistleblowers, because these criminals, they live in the same community with those people who are being victimized. So many of them, besides those who are benefiting from criminal activities, but many of them, they can see what is happening. So then we can have a policy, but at the end of the day, community themselves, they need to come up, they need to stand up and call it speed by state, because at the end of the day, policy is not going to be successful if community, they are not part of it. Yes. Earlier on, I talked about the issue of reviewing gun laws in the country. So, but the question is, why are we having so many guns in the country? So somehow, there's a loophole between, it's either with our borders control. Why are we having so flock of many criminal guns in our country? So in other words, accessing our countries becomes much easier, and the corruption activities is going up and up and up. So it's not going to be easy to deal with those some activities if we don't open up our discussion towards going down to the grassroots, to communities.